You are the generation that survived lawn darts, station wagons with no seatbelts, and drinking from the garden hose. You raised yourselves after school while your parents were still at work. But now, you look around at the culture, and it feels like nobody even knows you're there. To your left, the boomers are refusing to retire. To your right, millennials are documenting their trauma in 4K, and Gen Z is trying to cancel Eminem on TikTok. And you? You sit in the middle, just trying to pay the mortgage and keep the Wi-Fi running. You feel invisible. You're the designated driver of society, sober, responsible, and completely ignored. But here's what psychology reveals. This invisibility isn't a weakness. It's a tactical advantage. While everyone else is screaming for attention like they're auditioning for a reality show, you're the only generation left that knows how to get things done in silence. You know, like adults. The Jan Brady Syndrome. To understand why you feel like a ghost in the machine, we need to look at the raw data. Psychologists call this the cohort squeeze. You are literally smaller than the giants on either side of you. The baby boom was an explosion. The millennials were the echo boom. And you were the baby bust, which sounds less like a generation and more like a failed investment strategy. Because there are fewer of you, marketing algorithms don't target you. Politicians don't pander to you. You're the middle child of history, what we call the Jan Brady Syndrome. While boomers are screaming, Marsha, Marsha, Marsha about their property values, and millennials are screaming about their student loans, you're just sitting there, quietly funding the social security system that'll probably be bankrupt by the time you retire. You know, no big deal. But this demographic invisibility created something fascinating: hyper self-reliance. You don't expect the world to cater to you because, well, it never has. You didn't get participation trophies. You got a house key on a shoestring and a "good luck, don't burn the house down" from your mom as she left for her second shift. The Latchkey experiment. This brings us to the defining psychological event of your generation, the Latchkey experience, or as we'd call it today, child abandonment, but make it the 80s. If you left a 7-year-old home alone for 3 hours today, someone would call the police. In 1979, that was just Tuesday. In fact, your parents probably gave you a quarter for the payphone in case of emergencies, which you immediately spent on arcade games. Psychologists look at this and see two things. Yes, there was neglect. It was lonely, but it was also an accidental masterclass in executive function. You learned what researchers call premature autonomy. Hungry? You figured out the microwave. Bored? You went outside and threw rocks at other rocks. Got into a fight with a neighborhood bully? You didn't have a parent to mediate. You either fought back, ran fast, or developed really creative negotiation skills. This rewired your brain. While modern anxiety stems from overparenting and lack of agency, you have the opposite problem: agency overload. You're so used to handling things yourself that asking for help feels like admitting you're broken. You aren't invisible because you're hiding. You're invisible because you're low maintenance. And in a high maintenance world, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. But the quiet wheel does all the actual work while everyone else is posting about it. But here's where it gets really annoying. You're currently doing the heaviest lifting in the economy, paying for everyone else's retirements and student loans. And yet, you're the only generation that can't figure out who you're supposed to be angry at. The Rosetta Stone generation. You have a cognitive flexibility no other generation possesses. You're the analog/digital bridge, basically the Rosetta Stone, but for technology. You're the only humans left on Earth who remember life before the internet, but are also fluent in it. You can rotate a PDF, but you can also drive a stick shift. You use ChatGPT, but you can also read a paper map without having an existential crisis. Psychologically, this makes you the universal translator. You're explaining to your boomer parents how to unmute themselves on Zoom for the 15th time, while simultaneously explaining to your Gen Z kids why they can't quit their job just because the vibes were off on Tuesday. This is exhausting. You're the IT department, the HR department, and the crisis management team for your entire family tree. You feel invisible because you are the infrastructure. And nobody notices infrastructure until the power goes out. Then suddenly, everyone's got questions. But there's a darker psychological reason you feel ignored. It's not just that people don't see you, it's that you stopped trying to be seen. And honestly, that might have been the smartest move you ever made. The whatever defense mechanism. Your generational motto was a single word: whatever. Critics called this slacker apathy, but psychology calls it defensive pessimism or stoic detachment, which sounds way cooler and also explains why you're so good at poker faces. You grew up watching the Challenger explode live on classroom TVs, the Berlin Wall fall, and the divorce rates skyrocket faster than a blockbuster late fee. You learned early that institutions fail, that heroes have clay feet, that the American dream was basically a very persuasive infomercial. So you developed psychological armor. Irony. You approached the world with a permanently raised eyebrow, the facial expression equivalent of air quotes. This whatever attitude wasn't laziness, it was emotional conservation. If you don't expect much, you can't be disappointed. It's basically Buddhism, but with flannel. In today's culture that demands constant outrage, constant posting, and constant performance of caring, your detachment looks like invisibility, but it's actually sanity. You're the only ones at the dinner table who aren't hyperventilating about a Twitter thread from 2019. You're just eating your potatoes and wondering when everyone else will calm down. So if you're waiting for the culture to finally turn the spotlight on you and say, "Thank you for your service," don't hold your breath. They're too busy fighting about pronouns and pronouncing GIF. But here's the good news, and I mean really good news. The stealth advantage. Invisibility is a superpower. While boomers are being blamed for ruining the economy and millennials are being mocked for their avocado toast addiction, nobody is coming for you. You're flying completely under the radar like a generational stealth bomber. You can get away with anything. Midlife crisis? Buy that motorcycle. Start a business? Launch that Etsy shop. Dye your hair purple? Go for it. Nobody's writing a think piece about it because nobody's watching. You have what I call autonomy of neglect, and it's glorious. Because nobody's watching you, you're free to do what you've always done. Figure it out. Quietly. Competently. Without posting about it 17 times. The world doesn't need to see you to need you. They know who keeps the lights on. They know who actually does the work while everyone else is filming content about doing the work. You're the reason society functions. You're just not getting credit cards for it. So let them fight. Let the other generations scream for attention and engagement metrics. You? Go put on some Nirvana, pour yourself a drink, a real one, not whatever craft cocktail is trending, and enjoy the silence. You earned it. And hey, when everything inevitably falls apart, they'll come find you. They always do. Because you're the only one who knows how to fix things.